Excellent. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to another vivid, that's the best word I can come up with right now.
It's an extraordinary word.
Extraordinary episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. I am your host, Brian Wilson. I have with me
Nevada Hill.
And we are here discussing Psycho-Cybernetics.
Yeah.
For those that are interested, the book club meets every Tuesday between 8 and 9. You can find the previous books that we've read on the book club app under Shire Book Club. If you're also interested in participating, you'll be able to see some of the previous books that we have read. Join in on the conversation, and we look forward to this very interesting conversation this morning. So, Javada,
Yeah.
I always want to start with you.
Well, I want to start with you. Because learning everything about you this morning, like, who are you really? Like, we play so many roles inside of our lives, and each role requires a different mindset, requires a different identity. And that's what Maxwell is honing in on this book. In my opinion, that's what he's honing in on. Coming from being a surgeon, and then he'll notice that people that so that they'll get the surgery, they need internal surgery too, first to correct whatever external yada yada you get in a BBL, but like what you doing emotionally to step into that that conversation you have around about yourself.
Yeah. You notice, I liked how he really looked at the dichotomy of his role as a surgeon. Not just the physical snip, nip, tuck, but also looking at the internal nip, tuck. We do that same thing in our roles as realtors. I mean, we will sit down with a client and they'll give us the nuts and bolts of the sticks and bricks. But then there's the backstory behind it, which is the why. Why is this move important to you right now? And they sometimes mask that. They don't really want to share with you what the real purpose is, the driver behind what it is they're trying to do. And we have to become psychologists in order to, and excavationists in order to sculptors in order to unearth that hidden meaning and drive to help them to get there.
That's so powerful, because we remind ourselves that we wear a mask wherever that was from. Like everyone has their own mask, they have their own layers that they project inside of the world for self-protection. You have the armor for Brene Brown of vulnerability. Now when I'm coming to you and I'm having that buyer's consultation, and I just need to get to the root.
Yes.
Because I don't need to be dealing with the branches and all the shapes.
The leaves.
Yeah.
Let's trim some shit out.
Let's just go to the root. So let's just get to the heart of the matter.
Yes.
That takes away, 10, 15, 20 minutes of
easy
talking.
Yes.
At
but
the
sometimes
heart of
they
it.
need that.
Sometimes you need that, and then sometimes it's like, are you just talking to be heard?
Yes.
But then we go to the book, The Intention of Listening.
Yes, listening with intention.
Listening with intention. And my intention is to see you behind the mask. Love and light behind the mask, and then to see you as your highest form. So if the next step is your highest form is a homeowner, okay, and then next is like, oh, you own multiple investment properties, like I'm supposed to see you how you want to be seen in the future. It takes something, and I need to know what's behind the mask to be able to reflect that mirror effect.
Yes. Which one was that?
Law something. It might be like Law 22.
What was that from?
48 Powers of...
Yes.
48 Powers of Law.
Yes.
Law, I think it's 22, that you have to mirror the person, and then it takes down their guard.
Because it's like,
oh, we're one.
Yes. That that was huge because Maxwell helped me to identify this within myself first. And I think everything starts with us first. So if I'm able to spot and identify my own internal motivation and my own internal drive, it gives me clear insight into being able to spot those parts or points within my client. You know, those things that I want to help them to adorn.
I think that he said, like, if you had the thought, then it already exists. It already exists somewhere, and then you have to see that vision for yourself. And like this weekend, I looked at some of my notes from prior classes and seminars and books, and I'm like, oh, I've been asking for the same sales goal for a couple of years now. Like, you know, not that like he didn't achieve it, but
right,
like,
but today.
Okay, so, and earlier, like listening to your story of like producer and your music background and you know who you are, and it's just like, yeah. What's there for me is like, we have so much technology now. Like I put my affirmations and I recorded it on my phone, and now I'm like listening to it on my drive in, and I'm, how can I loop this? Because I look at Maxwell and I was like, he was a surgeon in 1890. Like they had surgery back. Like, is that safe? But they wasn't even thinking about that at that moment, and he did whatever he had to do with inside of the technology that he had. And I'd be like, oh, he looking at us in 2024, like I would have been accomplished all of that stuff with all that stuff that you got now.
Right. Yeah.
But like Brene, have compassion, have empathy, because you're about to be making yourself wrong.
But you know, even in Brene, being able to be vulnerable and look at the vulnerable pieces of why you haven't gotten to where you wanted to be. What really is the root cause of preventing you from just being?
I think it's like, I'm gonna say fear, which is not real, but it's like this passage is like, we are afraid to shine our light or something. We are afraid of how magnanimous that we actually are. Forget who it is, but it's a whole like, you're afraid of how powerful you are.
You really are.
Yeah.
And I mean, getting down to the root of that was poignant, not just in Brene. I know I keep going back to her and we're not even on her book, but it was so compelling in Maxwell in being able to truly look at myself through the fear, through the vulnerability, sitting down and writing out some of the things that I delve into in my own self.
I heard like lean in a couple times, like lean into the person that you are afraid to be, lean into the disempowering contexts that circle your life. Like I noticed this morning, like I didn't come out the house yesterday. I didn't really engage with people. And then today I'm getting ready and I like conversations that started to come up and like old patterns and like not just the Bible. You gotta kill the old man. You gotta kill the old way of being. And when I come into the city, I noticed like a stronghold a little bit coming into the city, coming into the office. And I finished it this morning, so I was like, I paused it at forgiveness because I was like, oh, he's reiterating this point, you know, and why are you not necessarily letting go? What are you getting from not forgiving? You get something. You get like a
let me hold on to this anger just a little bit longer. Let me hold on just a little bit longer.
You get a payoff. You get like energy from it, and then you gotta transmute that energy and come up the conscious map, power versus force. Right. You gotta come up
that scale of
consciousness.
What was the word?
Scale of, I think it's the
vibration.
Yeah.
Right. You want to vibrate at a higher level.
You gotta let that fire from the root release so you can come up.
Come into being fully authentic you.
Yeah.
Who you really are at the core. Beyond all the BS and beyond the story
Right.
and beyond
Your barriers and
your self-inflicted barriers and walls, the glass ceiling that you created, beyond all of that, who are you really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who am I really? Those were very poignant in going through these exercises with him. I like the fact that he didn't summarize each chapter and let the reader summarize the chapters for themselves. Like, what did you really get out of this chapter? So I wasn't just reading for the sake of words. You know, I had to go, oh, you really want to know what I thought? Like, for real.
Oh, yes. He'll say pause it and then
Right.
relook at your own life like it was a therapy session. How can you reflect?
Yes. Yes. That's why I kept asking that stupid question. This is not a stupid question. Of when would we have gotten this book?
And you really listened. Like, you was like, the book told me to pause, so I paused it.
I just stopped.
Yeah.
I said, stop
Well,
right
yeah,
here.
But back to when would we have ever gotten this
When
book?
would we have ever, like, honestly, this book would have really had to have been introduced to us or me by just someone who felt as though it was time for me to get it. You know?
The someone is you, right?
Yes, because I ordered this book.
So sometimes, like, in reality, what's happening in the world briefly is like, I care, but I don't so much care that you're going to try to take away the books from the school system, because if you wanted to find a book, you would. You have a community around you that's going to, for this book to arise whenever it does, and it takes within you to want to find and do the looking.
Yeah, I think about the hidden messages in water, and now that I'm like 40 something days into no alcohol.
Yeah.
I've increased my water intake, so now I got this different relationship with water. I'm like really happy about that. So I got this whole different relationship now with water, and now I think about I'm listening more to my body. Now this is a long stretch here, but listening more to the needs of my body and noticing when I actually say to myself, I need water. These books seem to come to me the same way, in that sense of I need something. There's something that I need in me right now, in my mind, in my space. And when I go on that search for different books, it just seems that I connect with the books that I need at that time. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird how that
Soaking
happens.
it up right now. Like, we're soaking the yearning for self-discovery, and I think of The Alchemist, and you're always going back to yourself. Like, you're always coming back and you're feeding what's there, and then whatever shows up, Psycho-Cybernetics shows up.
Yes, and just comes when you need it the most.
What's there? Relaxation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now that goes in.
So, you know how we've
that
been
goes
like,
into it.
yeah, you know how we've been like,
we need a coach. I need a coach. Every great athlete has a coach.
Yeah.
I relaxed. Did I tell you this? Like, I relaxed, and I took me like a 10-minute, like, let me just close my eyes for a little bit, go on do not disturb. And when I arose, one of my like prior temple friends is a coach now, and she was like, oh, you just came to me and I want to see if you want to join my coaching program. I was like, yes. I was like, yeah.
Wow.
You know, like, but that happens in
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I deeply relaxed. And I was like, you know, like deep, like I'm asleep.
You went down to that next level.
Yeah, I was in theta, I was in delta, like I was like, my body just was like, you know.
Right.
And then she came to me and I was like, yeah, because I've been talking about this, and yup. Like,
And here it is.
Yeah, here it is.
I love how there was something that he said that ideas are in the universe.
Yeah. If you thought it, it's already out there.
Right.
If you have the image, it's already now. You got to get up to it, and that's like not the scary part, but like you got to see it in your vision hard. He talked about the golfers. He see it going into the hole or whatever.
Yes.
I got parking in front of like school parking, so I can
Oh.
sit there all. But before I left that house, I was telling myself I'm getting school parking. Like last night, I was telling me I'm good at that. Like
I'm good. I'm excellent. I don't know what it is. I'm excellent with that.
it's practice.
I've been out here 3 years.
It's practice.
It's practice.
But
Yes.
then where else can I take this practice and this confidence? Like I'm gonna get school parking.
Right.
Whatever.
It's just going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Where else can I put this in my business? And then sometimes I look at the sales goals and it's like I've been asking for the same thing and everything I have influence, I don't have control.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I
Struggle with the differences.
I struggle with it then, and I gotta let go. You gotta surrender. But the relaxation part in like chapters 11 to 15 was like, I know I have to do this. Silver mind control.
Yes.
I know I have to let go and let go and let God. Just like
Let go and let God.
Operate for me. I'm at a point you shouldn't be trying to muscle through everything.
Right. Power versus force.
Yeah.
You can't. You really can't. And I mean, we say it like it's words, but there's really action that's behind that. And to be able to get down to that beta, theta level of relaxation, truly relax, and then let the universe give you that guidance and direction. A lot of that came from this. For
And the
me.
compound effect. The compound, is a practice. And I've been being the same way for X amount of years. Now I gotta break all of that down and
Get rid of the story you tell yourself.
and I've been telling myself the same story for generations.
It's interesting how you actually really, I feel like this book has given me the weirdest out of body experience.
Well, that's pretty cool without drugs.
Yeah, without drugs. And the fact that I am letting it happen without putting up force or resistance and being vulnerable to be open to whatever blessings are coming to me and
Right.
for me.
Right.
All right, so here's my first question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can incorporating relaxation techniques help you improve your performance during your client interactions and negotiations? Now, these are two different parts now, because one part is the client interactions, which we do. The
Yeah.
other part is the negotiations. Sometimes it's like we're coming into new changes now with this NAR settlement agreement and the changes that are going to come into effect as a result. The amount of information that we're now going to expose clients to creates another opportunity for negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
How can you use this information to continue to propel your business forward?
An action I can take inside of this conversation is to communicate what we see happening inside. I think communication is at the top of the level. Like now we're communicating, we're broadcasting it, educating the people.
Yeah.
I think that will be how we can use it. It's just a conversation, and then to be like, oh, I know what's happening, and then people will know, and trust you, because when they're looking for a realtor, they'd be like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. Like, she's talking about this, what I'm curious of, and then it's connecting.
So I heard an agent say something that they do as a part of their policies and procedures, which I always shied away from. They actually have something that's a part of their agreement of sale called a pledge policy, where they actually tell the client everything that they're going to do for them, and then they sign it as a part of their listing contract.
That's pretty cool because integrity, honoring your word.
I've always shied off from that, and I shied off from it because I realized that there were lazy parts of me that I had to respect. And in respecting those lazy parts, I knew that there were certain things that I just wasn't going to do. But if I am going to be committed to being the type of agent that I want to be, I have to respect the other parts of being an agent, which would be to create the pledge policy and then stick to it while still being able to respect my lazy parts.
So you're actually, the negotiation and interactions is for yourself because you're negotiating or commanding that inner lazy part of you to submit.
Yes.
If you were to create that pledge policy and then sign off on it, like you're commanding authority over that aspect or that identity of yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then actually putting it into effect for myself. A lot of this just really came from self.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because sometimes I wouldn't give my word if I know that I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know, but I have.
No, I give myself some.
Yeah.
I say, yeah, I know I'm not gonna. Yeah, I know I'm probably not gonna do that shit.
Like, am I gonna rise to the occasion? Like, sometimes you gotta give your word from nothing, and you don't know how you're gonna do it.
You don't know how you're gonna do it.
And that's you don't need to know how.
Right.
It's a relationship to your word. After that's like now we're like getting to the root. Like, are you gonna do what you said that you was gonna do in the manner that it should have been done, in the velocity and the time that people expect you to do it? That's like back down to integrity.
Yes, it is. And it really comes down to negotiating with myself.
So when you said, like, you sent the framework last night, which is fine for me, I wanted to do it Friday, which is give yourself grace. So how are you going to implement that word? Oh, I got to create a structure. Now I might have to put it in existence inside of my calendar, so now I can fulfill on my word. But if it doesn't exist anywhere, like it's just a thought, like I need a calendar, I need an alert.
Right. Atomic habits.
Yeah.
Atomic habits. My Friday was already blocked for a breakout. So I blocked out 3 hours of my Friday for a breakout. Within that 3 hours, I can incorporate creating my agenda. But now it's easy because I already got a framework. I got a blueprint.
Yeah.
So now I can just edit and update the blueprint. So now instead of taking 3 days to create this, because
you created the foundation, which is so nice. You was like honed in on foundation. You were like, look how they built this, and the beams and the stills when they be building the building.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that. I love
that
shit. It's my shit.
I played around with Google AdSense, and I haven't played with that in a few years. And like I looked at it, and I was like, oh, this user face is intense. I gotta do all this other stuff. And I gave it a beat. Like I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna come back. And then I told somebody, which is, if you tell somebody you're gonna do something, and now I gotta do it. That's why I'm even trying to tell you, because you remember you said, I don't need that.
But I told you, and
Yeah.
So now every time I see you, I'm like, I remember I told her, and she remembers. Yes.
But it's out of integrity if we don't kind of bring it up and then hold you to your word, because I see you in your highest light. Like that's our job, our responsibility for each other. Long story short, I got the AdSense. Like I clicked the button, I was like active. It took me like three weeks to
But you got it.
Get it done. So cool. And the video from 2 weeks ago, I was like, you gotta get it done before you see Brian autism. Come on.
That was my mindset on Friday. Like I wouldn't allow myself to leave until I got it done.
Yeah.
And I sat there with it, and I was like, well, how do I do it? What is it supposed to look like? And I'm like playing around with this in my mind. Like I even got my agenda for my team meeting together on Friday. So
And
now
that's
I said,
nice because at the root, when you get it, you cloud your head with all the stuff I gotta do, and then you end up getting it done. It creates freedom and power within inside yourself.
so
Like,
free.
ugh,
Then I could go to the supermarket and hang out. And wait, I changed my supermarket experience.
How?
Uh,
Visualize people not talking to you?
No, that's not going to happen. My popularity status is ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
Now I go on Saturday morning
Okay.
instead of Friday afternoon.
Right.
Even though I really like going to the supermarket on Friday because I want all the food in the house for Saturday morning so I can get to choose what I want to eat. So that was just me. I said, okay, let's change this around. Let's go early Saturday morning.
Right.
Saturday morning was the best experience. Like nobody was in there. It's like a handful of people. So now that cut down on the number of people that actually had to talk to me and ask me stuff. I was like, this is a beautiful experience. And I had my list together, so I knew everything that I was going to get. I stayed within my budget. I was like below my budget. I got my gas. I got the gas. And I got more money off on the gas than I normally get.
Yeah. That's a win. I was in on there on Saturday, and I don't hate to say it, but then if I say it, then it's going to happen. One day we're going to run into each other at the supermarket.
I know we are.
Yeah, I know,
I was
right?
waiting for that. I be waiting for that. I'm like, get your father's in somewhere. I know she's in the supermarket.
There I am. The baby cart, you know.
All right, here we go. How can the self-hypnosis and mental rehearsal techniques integrated into your daily routine help you stay composed and effective during property showings and client meetings?
I do the visual work before I even see the client and during from the charisma myth. You see angel wings behind people, like don't see their face and all that stuff. See the light within inside of them, and it helps me like talk to that.
Okay.
See them with angel wings. So I mentally rehearse, oh, they're going to sign this contract before I leave. So if I know that, what actions am I going to take? I'm not shaming older people, but older people like the paperwork.
Yes.
You know.
Love the paperwork.
So I'm printing out the paperwork.
Right.
You know. So doing that, if I see, like, if I'm projecting, I'm going to get this listing signed today. What actions can I plan your work your plan? What actions can I take inside of that? This is how I'm going to prepare for the day.
And seeing it through
And
to the end.
And seeing it through to the end. And when 4-day laws of power, seeing it through to the end is one thing. All of this stuff is seeing it through the end. I used to be someone that, like, I guess it doesn't matter the time frame. I'll be like, the end is the end of the year. The end could be the end of the day.
Right.
Too, Jay.
Right.
Like.
Right. You can control that. What did you say? Time is an abstract?
Yeah, you know what came to me is 4-day laws of power. Law 48 is assume formlessness. Like, am I too trapped inside of an identity? And in Maxwell, he shares how to shift that, like, new identity, wife, mother, top producer. What does that look like? Am I going to the top producer award ceremony?
Hey,
what am I wearing?
Let's go.
You know, like, what color are my nails? And he said something like, what does it smell like? What do I smell like?
Yeah. Oh,
you
my
know?
God. I really felt that when he said that. I was like, I'm a Leo, so we always are
the 20,
fresh.
Yeah.
We always have this
You
freshness
smell
about
good
us.
today when I walk by.
Thank you
know?
very much.
You're welcome.
It's on purpose.
I know.
I always see myself as a teacher. So I think I've always thought that teachers make the best real estate agents because they know how to create lesson plans and they know how to talk to children, which is something that I do. Well, I don't talk to my clients like children. I try to educate them. Well, sometimes you have to. But I've really worked to educate them. So for me, the self-hypnosis is to getting myself in teacher mode. So now I'm prepping for a lesson plan, when I'm meeting with a seller to sign papers, or when I'm taking a client out to show properties for the first time. It's education. Let me educate you on how to look at a home. Let me educate you on some of the finer points. I don't want you to just walk in and look at the pretty paint. I'm not just here to open the door. I'm here to really educate you on really how to look at the investment that you're getting ready to make. So I take it from the front. Look at the facade of the house. This is the downspout. This is the drain line. This is the fascia board. Look at the capping around the windows. Look at the front curb appeal before we walk into the house, you know? So now I'm giving them the insight and the eyes that I've trained myself to have by spending time with appraisers and home inspectors. So now I get to a point by the second or third house, now they're looking at it like professionals. That enlightens me. That makes me feel really good when they're like, oh yeah, Brian said to do this. Or Brian said, go in the closet and look up in the ceiling. Or Brian said, turn on the lights in the room. I've had clients that just will open the door and peek in and be like, yeah, it look all right. You gotta go in. You gotta feel the room. You know what I mean? You gotta feel the space. Or when I let them walk around the house, like the first time I walk around the house with them.
Yeah.
But then when I know that they really like the house, the second time I let them walk through by themselves. Feel it without me. Experience it on your own and let me know what it felt like to be in the house. I was out with a buyer on Saturday. I took him to see 2 houses. And I liked the first house for him, but it was too small for him. The second house he really liked, to the point that he was still talking about the second house after we left. Even though he sent me 6 other houses that he wanted to see, he was like, Brian, he said it felt like home. Let's write the offer. What are we playing? What are we doing? You know
Because
what I mean?
it turns into like the fear of loss. I want to feel like see everything.
Exactly.
But this one feels like home. But I want
This
to
one
make
feels-
sure I ain't losing anything.
No. We writing this offer.
Yeah.
So I've learned to use that self-hypnosis and mental rehearsal, seeing the whole process through to the end.
I like how you said that you like to be the teacher, because I felt like in some aspect you like to not learn or something like that too. So you're feeding yourself inside of the process, and you become an authoritative figure inside of the process. If people go be like, oh, Brian said, open up all doors, act like it's yours. So then you become an aspect of authority. And I used to do something with kids, and what I learned some stuff like lessons plans and all, but get down on their level.
Yes.
And not just emotionally, but physically. I worked with like 3 or 4 or 5-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Get down on their level, so you're not hovering over people like you're a big strong man. And I had a client, she was like 5'5", she was small, and I got down. And she kind of like chuckled a little bit, but I need to be eye to eye.
Right.
I'm not trying to be like a strong, person, because that might have something, that might do something to you.
Right. That's different. That's interesting. I don't know. I've always used my stature.
Your masculinity.
Yes. And because I felt like my clients needed strong direction. Sometimes they do. And I've learned to temper that.
Yeah.
So I've learned to temper that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Based off of the client, based off of their understanding, based off of their level.
Yeah.
Because you got to really understand really where they are, so you understand how to speak to them. From what position and what aspect to speak to them from. I said to one of my agents, I love being a real estate agent. I love being a real estate agent because we can talk to anybody from any aspect, from any point of life, from wherever they are. We have that uncanny ability to be able to see the child within them, hear where they are, hear the struggles and the challenges that they have, and then become the voice of guidance and direction to direct them out of the web of minutia that prevented them from doing whatever it is that they're trying to do. I got another question for you.
Go for it.
So, how can the strategies from reframing crisis as opportunities for growth and creativity assist you in navigating during such turbulent times. Okay, we're coming into turbulent times. The changes that are getting ready to be implemented by Bright, and the changes that are being implemented by NAR, and the changes that will be implemented by our office are going to be challenges and struggles for us. Getting them wrong means fines, violations. For some agents, these changes are going to be stressful. You know, for some agents, it might put them out of business. You know what I mean? Especially the ones that don't understand or don't have an active office guiding them through this process, you know? So, reframing the crisis, which is the NAR settlement, the opportunities that this creates for us, which is an opportunity to sharpen our skills, reposition ourselves with our clients, reintroduce ourselves with new clients. And the growth and creativity, how can it assist you in navigating during these turbulent times?
So my thought is it turbulent, or am I labeling it turbulent? Does it have to be turbulent? Because it's something that is going to happen, and I'm not mad that it's happening. It's just what's so. It's just what's so. And I can make it mean anything. And I have the experience, which gives me peace, that is just something to go through. And inside of you asking the question, I heard like value, like how not we have, you gotta get the buyer's agency contract signed, so you have presenting your value from the gate and having it written down. That there were, to me, always fines present. Like there were always fines and penalties present if you didn't change the status of
Right.
yours. So it was always already there. Any old way. So with these changes, I think of like Jim Crow, and like, sure, you changed the status, but how long did it really take for the world to change and to shift into the new ways of being? It didn't just happen when you signed the bill. Like
Right.
it's still, we wasn't free on 1776, you know. We were like, it took another decade for century for things to actually shift. I'm not saying just for, you know, the culture is shifting, which is okay, but like, I don't really think it's going to be turbulent. But am I being nonchalant or like absent-minded or just conditioning myself? We're just going to step into it. And last night I was thankful for our company and our management and our authority, that she is like, they are keeping us abreast. They are doing a really good job of like educating. It's our responsibility to show up and to learn and
be present for it.
And just be present for it no matter what. Like, oh, okay, it's just something to experience while we're on this planet, spinning around in outer space with 8 billion other people. Like, it's just something to experience in this moment.
So for me, I think Leaf would be proud of me.
Okay.
Right?
Jocko.
Leaf and Jocko would be proud of me, because I look at us as being on the front line. I keep saying it. I've said this many times, that we are on the front line.
His shots only.
Yes. But we're on the front line of change, because our job is to not only overstand the changes, overstand the orders and commands that are coming down from corporate top head, but then being able to actually go out and execute it. So now my role changes for my agents, because now I want to arm them
With the best armor possible.
With the best freaking armor. I want them to have the best equipment possible to be able to weather these changes that are coming. And turbulence is a mindset. It doesn't have to be turbulence. Its obstacle is the way.
There's calm in the center of the storm.
Right. So let's just lean into it. Don't you love how she comes in out of nowhere? She just comes in out of nowhere. And get comfortable with the things that are coming, you know?
And sit down like the relaxation technique and see yourself. I'm going to be okay with having this buyer consultation. I'm going to be okay. The client is going to joyfully want to sign
those papers with me.
They're going to be joyful. And if they ask me any questions, it's for my benefit.
Mm-hmm. And I have the armor. I'm armed with the information to give them good counsel, good instruction, good direction, valuable, knowledgeable information.
Think and Grow Rich with Henry Ford, and he had like a high school, middle school education, and he was like, "Oh, why do I need to know everything? Why do I need to know everything? I have a team. I have a team that if I don't know, I'm going to go to my leader. If I don't know, I'm going to go to somebody else, and somebody else got the answer. You don't understand the power I represent. You see me, but there's a force
around me
that's here to help you, help me help you."
Right. Beautiful. Okay. Wait. Okay, so now we're at the time of book club where we compare and contrast the current book. So now I want to try something a little different, because before I would say compare and contrast, but now I really want to separate it out. And I want to ask you to compare the current book with a book that we've read in the past.
Lean In was Sandberg. Sandberg.
Yes.
Sandberg!
Yeah.
You know, Lean In, like I've been hearing that lately, and I'll be like, you know, like you got to lean into who you told yourself that you're not going to be. Lean into the self-imagery. I'm just comparing it, and I'm putting it on the same line. It's just like, lean in, surrender to that self-image that you have, and see it consistently. Feel good about it. I might feel really scared about it, and that's inauthentic at the root of it. And I think something like self-protection. So I want to go with lean in and Sandberg, like lean into the changes.
Interesting. I compared this book weirdly to Brene. I compared it to Brene from the aspect of everything that happens is internal. Even the analysis of myself and being able to be vulnerable with those pieces of me that prevented me from delving deeper into this book. What gave me the strength and courage that I needed, courageous leadership,
Dare to lead.
to go into this open-minded, you know, without the hesitations of, nah, I don't believe that, or nah, that might not be true. I wiped all of that away, and I just said, listen without judgment.
That's good.
You know, because the judgment saboteur is real.
I heard that.
So I had to give the judgment saboteur his space to criticize.
To just be.
Let him be, and then I say, okay, I appreciate your input, thank you.
Basically.
Sit over here in the passenger seat, and then let's just honestly and openly listen to this book. So that was my compare. Okay, so now here's the next part of the question. Contrast this book to one that we read in the past.
Homegoing, yeah.
Okay.
Homegoing.
Go.
Homegoing. Contrast?
Contrast.
Homegoing came to me, and I was like, yeah, that going?
Dead air.
Oh man, I'm combating my own inner thoughts, right? And having internal dialogue. Homegoing. How can I contrast Maxwell Malk's Psycho-Cybernetics? Because when they went through homegoing,
Mm-hmm.
the black experience, like somebody, they couldn't go home because they thought like the place was cursed and the yams, and they thought it was cursed and they couldn't go back. Like she was dating the master, remember the like
What was his name? The
what
general
was-
guy?
Yeah, but it was like a black, not fraternity, but it was like a black thing, and you looked it up and everything. It was like the names of it, something like that. In their culture, you couldn't, like, she was dating the guy, but he had another wife, and
Oh, right. I remember
Yeah,
that.
like,
Right.
she
Like she
couldn't-
wasn't they weren't on the same footing or the same level.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and she couldn't go back home. She couldn't, like, they didn't accept her because they thought that she was cursed or something. So then she took the baby to, like, the orphanage and Christianity and something like
wow.
she made this.
That's deep how you made that connection.
That's, like, she couldn't go. They didn't. Her family didn't accept her for whatever reason. And then I'm fearful that I'm mixing books. That's what's also there for me. But when they got on the boats and they got to underground and they was all peeing on each other in the dungeon,
yes.
you couldn't go back home.
Yeah. It was how do you
go
even-
back to yourself? And this and Maxwell Malk's, he's like the imagery and like, not that they don't feel like they got control over how am I going to get out of this? You know,
Yeah.
they couldn't go.
Deep.
They couldn't go back.
That's deep how you brought those two together. This is why I love talking to you. Okay, so here's my contrast. My contrast was Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Think and Grow Rich focused on just money, using your mind to think your way to riches. Psycho-Cybernetics got me to believe and understand and realize that I'm more than just money. I'm able to resonate at a higher level because I'm able to go deeper into understanding who I truly am. You know, mastering self-imagery is bigger than just focusing and thinking about money.
That's good. That's good, because we tell our clients that it's never about the house. It's about who you become. And like, you have a purpose for money, and the purpose behind that, what's your why? So I can be generous, self-expressive,
Right.
you know, impact the world. And through, if I'm serving other people, service, then it will automatically come back to me through that even exchange of encouragement, appreciation. So that's really, I felt something. I was moved by that Think and Grow Rich, because it kind of makes it seem like your definite chief aim, how much you want to receive by X amount of date. And then it also says, what are you going to give?
What are you going to give in exchange?
And what are you going to, and then it's not the money you're going to give it, it's a feeling that, you know, you are courageous in a leadership. Like, that's what you gave. That's what you always wanted to give.
So now, here we are at the end of this book. Summarize it for me, from your perspective.
How to combine a feeling that you want to receive in the future with something that happened in the past, and feel what you want to feel. If you receive that goal, how would you feel now? In this present moment, I would feel generous, I would feel appreciated, I would feel encouraged, and then live inside of those dynamics.
I don't know how to say it any better than you just said it, because looking at some of my past accomplishments, really analyzing them, reliving them, feeling the joy and excitement that existed at that moment, and then using that to propel me forward in anything I do has been astonishingly amazing. You know, I go into new situations now giddy because I can almost see the outcome. I've predicted it in my mind, and being able to stay in that realm of excitement and happiness fuels my energy. So whatever nuggets of challenges that may come through, I'm able to truly, I look at them now like, remember when Neo in the Matrix was when he was at the end, when he was in the hallway with the bad guys, and now he could see them as numbers? That's how I see problems now, as like zeros and ones now. Like, okay, got it. Changed my perception of everything. Now, instead of this albatross of, oh my God, here we go with this. Now it's, okay, got it. I see it. I identify it. I respect that you're here. And then here's how we're going to handle and address it.
He consumed the agent. He went inside of.
He jumped inside of
of.
That was more than lean in. He jumped in.
Is him. And on the first one and the Revelations, he consumed the agent. And then he broke free inside of that. And the agent is our dark passenger. I love, you know that. He was just like, oh man, this is so simple. And the agent was he was like combating them, like trying to like really like
he was
break
really
through.
trying.
Like, he was like, what?
He was really trying.
Brene Brown, joy, like you said, giddy with joy, being your highest self. You can't be your highest self unless you are rich. Like Wallace, maybe something like to express your highest level. It's something like richness, and then giddy with joy. And I think Brene said the most vulnerable thing that you can be is joyful, because I think that people will be like, why are you so happy? You know, like, like they be trying to like take my joy
No,
down in my soul.
I will loan you some.
Yeah. You
Here's
be
a cup full.
Yeah, you could be generous, and like what you said, it's never about the money. The money is just a thing, and we make it so significant. We make it so significant. It's just a thing that we all agree upon, and you got this, and now you got more than me. I'm not worth more as you. Yeah, it's all just a conversation that we make significant. But behind that, I can support my cause. I can put money, in a scholarship. I could, build something.
Right. I'm loving this. So now, you ready for the next book?
Yes.
Okay. So, with the culmination of the last couple of books that we've read, Psycho-Cybernetics, Brene Brown, Grit, I want to refocus our thought back into real estate, and then analyze this next book from the history of the 3 books that we just came out of.
Okay.
I want to read a book called Sold.
Okay.
Every Real Estate Agent's Guide to Building a Profitable Business by David Green.
Okay.
Okay. I downloaded it. I started reading. I started listening to it a little bit. I think it's going to be good from an agent perspective because it's a newer book. So now it's speaking to a newer audience of realtors, which we still are. I still feel like a kid with this.
I think we should have that. People be so excited to get their real estate license. I got my first client. We be hundreds of clients in and be like,
right. Yeah. We missed that. We lost that excitement.
Yeah.
You know, so I think this will be good for us to go back and look at real estate now, especially coming out of
psycho. I love just saying psycho.
Yeah.
It's mental. It is all mental.
It's all mental.
Yeah.
So that's the next book that we want to get into for next week.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a riveting conversation. I'm loving this book. I thank you, Javada. Again, I truly appreciate you. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate your commitment. I can appreciate your dedication to this book club, and I really appreciate your participation and your consistency with this. Thank you, truly.
You too.
Again, we thank you for joining us for this episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. I am Brian Wilson.
Javada Hill.
We will see you next week. If you are interested, again, in joining the book club, you can see past books that we've read. Download the book club app. We're under the Shire Book Club, and you'll see all of the books that we've read. You'll be kept abreast of upcoming meetings for the next book. Join the conversation. We're on Clubhouse under Building Brilliance Book Club. Find us on Facebook under Building Brilliance Book Club, the podcast. Other than that, Javada, you have any closing words for the day?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.